Nowadays, it is rare to find someone sitting alone, exploring his thoughts. Everyone is busy, and even in your free time, you'll probably find yourself glued to your phone. However, it is a fact that boredom is what helps you thrive. In this video, we will discuss this philosophical topic concerning profound philosophy, psychology, and religion. We will also link it to Orwell's novel, 1984. First, what is boredom? Psychologically, boredom is a signal from the brain that we need mental stimulation or purposeful activity. In philosophy, boredom is a state of existential emptiness or a lack of meaning, according to Schopenhauer. But why do we fear boredom? Is it worth embracing boredom in terms of productivity? If you are interested in this type of content, I invite you to subscribe to my channel, Blessing Knowledge for what is coming is best. Please share your opinion. Your constructive feedback is what makes me grow. The novel 1984, the author shows how the protagonist Winston is a living example of a bored man. Emptiness of his life is what grows in him the sense of resistance and rebellion. The lack of meaning that he was living was an endeavor to pursue a more meaningful life. The German philosopher Schopenhauer stated, "Life swings like a pendulum backward and forward between pain and boredom." When you're pursuing a desire that is pain, and when you fulfill it, you become left with boredom. From that insight, Schopenhauer shows us the significance of boredom, which lies in two sides. Firstly, boredom is a mirror, which shows us that desire doesn't fulfill us permanently. And this is one of the main reasons why unconsciously we are afraid of emptiness. Our daily tasks keep us distracted and never let us be confronted by ourselves. Secondly, Schopenhauer thought that through art, music, and philosophy, we can escape the will, and that can lead to creativity, reflection, and philosophical insights. Schopenhauer believed that boredom isn't a trivial annoyance, but a gate to reflection that helps you realize the absurdity of life and seek deeper meaning. As in the example of Winston, whose life lacked meaning. His boredom was an endeavor to make him open his eyes and be confronted with the reality of the life he was living. Now let's explore the psychology side. Sandi Mann has conducted research at the University of Central Lancashire. In this experiment, the participants were divided into two groups. The first ones were asked to do a very boring task, and the rest to do nothing. Then they took a test of creativity, and the result was splendid. The group that spent time doing the boring task outperformed the other in terms of creativity. They justify it as their brain was in a state of mind-wandering. In this state, the mind detaches from the outside world and focuses more on what's inside, which triggers creativity. Besides, according to neuroscience, when you are bored, your mind is in a state of default mode network. This network involves daydreaming, replaying memories, imagining the future, and making connections between ideas. Many people have noticed that they get creative ideas when they are getting a shower, taking a walk, or doing a boring activity. Productive boredom isn't when we are using our phones to scroll on TikTok. It comes from such activities as daydreaming, reflection, and sitting in comfort. Now, throughout history, what about prudent ancient thinkers and religions that we know? And what is the impact of boredom on them? Long ago, religions across the world, including Christians, Buddhists, and Muslim Sufis, used to practice boredom as a necessary spiritual. Even Muslims, Prophet and Messenger, Muhammad, peace be upon him, used to isolate himself in a cave and reflect on his existence. Christian monks used such tools as routine, silence, and solitude to quiet the mind and open the soul to truth. They call it acedia. Staying for hours with no real activity is outside of your comfort zone. At that time, your mind asks for stimulation, but if you endure it, you may reach divine insight. Buddhist monks do what they call zazen, which is a sitting meditation that prevents you from doing anything else besides focusing on breathing. In Zen Buddhism, the ego isn't a thing, it's a mental habit. The ego is the voice in your mind that labels everything, seeks stimulation or comfort, and lives in the future or the past, but rarely the present. At first, the void feels perplexing. However, when you sustain it and get used to it, your ego begins to crack. It is like you're peeling an onion where what you thought was you begins to fade away. Sufi mystics often relax by repeating gestures and sentences endlessly, which is called zikr. This might seem like a boring activity, but it's a gate to inner peace, visions, poetry, and connection. Repeating sentences isn't dull. It calms the person down and helps him to get over his ego and distractions, making room for insight. All these three thought schools recognize the significance of boredom in realizing the true meaning of life, and they succeeded in using it to cement their foundation. Most philosophers, too, had inspiring experiences with boredom, starting from Socrates, who believed in reflective idleness, which includes thinking deeply without external stimulation. Socrates used to live a simple life walking barefoot in Athens most of his time, either in deep reflection and silence or in meaningful conversations. But to Socrates, this isn't laziness. Instead, it was a necessary space to examine life itself. Once Socrates stated, "The unexamined life is not worth living." This quote was when he defended himself in court that what he was doing was necessary to live a meaningful life and not corruption. And accusing him of corrupting the youth was meaningless. For Aristotle, it was called Schulp, which meant pursuing wisdom only for its sake. Schulp is what school came from. That time isn't for work, but for deep reflection and wonder. For them, nothing wasn't a waste. It was the highest activity of the human mind. Stoics, on the other hand, including Marcus Aurelius, practiced daily solitude and reflection. They embraced silence and inner focus on virtue and self-mastery. In times of stillness, they write letters, meditations, and maxims that still have an undeniable influence on modern life. Ancient thinkers knew that creative genius comes not from noise, but from quiet, often disguised as boredom. Before smartphones, many great minds had no choice but to be bored, and that boredom became the mother of invention. Leonardo da Vinci often spent his time doing nothing except staring at nature, and this had a powerful impact on his work. His notebooks show wild creative connections between art, anatomy, physics, and poetry. Friedrich Nietzsche, too, said, "Great ideas are born of great solitude." He strongly believed that boredom is essential to step beyond the herd and think originally. There are many other examples of successful and impressive thinkers, artists, and religious people. All of them shared one thing in common. They valued solitude, boredom, and reflection extremely more than we do. Whenever you feel that you are alone with your inner self, you shouldn't dread directly to something more purposeful, because probably staying as you are is more purposeful. We are at the end of this video, and if you feel that you have learned something new, please subscribe to this channel where I try to make meaningful topics. If you're interested in such a specific topic, let me know, and thank you for watching.